And Dee, I'm going to try to tuck you in here.
Okay.
And at one of these taller benches. One of these taller benches is probably better because I want to try to keep the sight line up here.
You want to tuck me right here?
Yeah, let me take a look. All right, so. Now there, so lean there. You're cutting in there, back, out.
Okay.
So you see where the critical hot spot is. If you would, please look right here for me. Look at my hand here.
Okay.
Better. Do you come to the other side? Or you should come the other. Yeah, I think it's just a little bit better. And then that's back, out, go back in, slowly, in.
Okay,
That's
so
how
I can
much-
move just a little bit.
What we're trying to do is to keep the sight line as close to the camera as we can without Diana getting in the picture.
Okay.
So let's say you and I are talking. Does it look like her eyes are pretty?
Lovely.
Okay.
It's the nicest frame we've had.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm excited to meet you because we talked briefly on the phone, but I thought it was, like a lot of interesting stuff. So I guess first I'd like to hear kind of like a little bit about how you identify yourself, whether it's as an artist, as a queer person, as a woman, as a person with an eating disorder, like what makes up the core of your current identity?
Queer, I'm not sure which comes first. I guess it depends on my setting. But definitely queer is part of my identity. Woman, artist. I do identify as alcoholic and with an eating, like I would say I do have an eating disorder. And I think if I was just answering to a stranger, I would say I'm a queer artist. That's just sort of what it would be boiled down to. Do you want me to elaborate on that? Sorry.
You keep, talk as much as you feel comfortable going.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I want another question. Sure. Sorry.
Well, you said, to a stranger, I identify as a queer artist. What about to people who you are close to? I guess, had you identified to them?
I guess the same, because I don't really talk about, I wouldn't normally say I'm an alcoholic unless I'm in a meeting. And I also never really identify myself as having an eating disorder unless it's relevant to the conversation. And then I feel like identifying as a woman, I think that it's pretty apparent with how I carry myself. And so, yeah, I guess it would just usually be like a queer artist. And I think that's because that's really my focus right now, is creating space for me as a queer person, which I think I've had my own, I think part of my attempt is making space for me because I'm often seen as a straight person, which feels like it discounts my experience and how I live my life. Even in a queer community, like people all the time are like, "Are you straight?" And so I think I've had an extra push of like, "No, I'm queer," and like kind of loud about it. And also because for people to like my mom or people that I work with, more of like a mainstream thinking who don't understand what queer is, it's important for me to say that I'm queer, to show my mom that like I can wear a dress and like be her beautiful little girl, but that I'm queer and I like women, because for her growing up she was really afraid of me being like, she would just say like, you don't want to look dykey, or like, and I definitely didn't wear dresses all the time. So I think she was really afraid of that. And also in our arguments, she uses the Pride Parade as her reasoning against gays, like that it's flamboyant and promiscuous. And so I think that it's important for me to be like a walking, I guess, advocate of queer culture, that it's not this one way.
I like that idea a lot, and maybe you can say it in kind of like a more condensed sort of way, kind of like how people stereotypically think of queer people and how you are that may make or break those boundaries.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm nervous because I'm having a hard time articulating.
There's no right or wrong.
Okay. Well, I definitely have noticed that there's a stereotype about what it is to be gay. Or actually, I don't really think that people have even caught on to the term queer, because I work out in Beaverton, and I said that I was queer, and no one really knew what I meant by that. So just being gay, I think, it seems to me that the idea is like short hair, more masculine presenting type of person, I guess. And I don't know.
It's okay. We can maybe go back to that, but that was totally fine.
Okay.
What does it mean? You said I sometimes identify as having an eating disorder.
Mm-hmm.
What is an eating disorder to you?
I believe eating disorder is obsessive, well, I guess I think it's obvious, like bulimia or anorexia. That's a not normal eating behavior. And I think obsessively focused on body image and food, I think I would describe as eating disorder or disordered eating.
And when's the first time, maybe you can describe, if you can remember the first time like it really hit you, when did you think my eating patterns aren't normal, or my relationship with food isn't normal?
I'm not sure about because I definitely started, I think, eating disorder behavior as young as 3rd or 4th grade. But I don't think that I was conscious about skipping meals, or maybe I thought that I should. So it wasn't really even eating disorder yet in my brain, because I thought that I wasn't allowed to eat. So I think that I realized that I had an eating disorder maybe by 7th grade, because my behavior I couldn't really avoid it, and I think I was old enough to know what anorexia was and things like that.
Do you remember a time when, you said you were in 3rd or 4th grade, did you feel fat, or what was it that made you think something was off?
Mm-hmm. I know that my mom was an influence. I don't really remember before 3rd grade that my body was an issue. But I do remember going to the gym with my mom. And I think now I realize that I was really young to do that. And I think knowing my mom now, I can see that was influencing how I saw myself in my body. But it was, and I don't really remember even thinking about my body either. But in third or fourth grade, a group of girls came up to me and told me that I was fat. And then, so I think that was kind of, I don't think I realized, or I don't think I saw myself in a certain way until they did, I guess. I'm not sure.
Do you remember, like, so was it that your mom ever said, like, hey, you're gaining weight, or was it just kind of like her behavior made it seem like it wasn't okay to be even on the heavier side?
Well, I definitely know that was true later. But as far as young as third and fourth grade, I don't remember my mom saying things like that. But I do know that by fifth grade, I was dieting with my mom, and I'm not sure if she was calling me fat yet, but I do know that up until just a couple years ago, like, my body was her. She would tell me about my body, like if I looked good or not, or just sort of like constantly like, you should go to the gym, or can I get you a gym membership, or you need to eat better, or something like that. I'm also kind of nervous to be talking about my mom, like outing my mom.
That's okay. She doesn't, I mean, she gets to see this whether you wanted her to or not.
Yeah.
What kind of things would you do when you would diet together?
The first diet I remember is the Slim Fast diet. Well, maybe before that, I think we would get cans of juice, and it was like trying to eat juice and fruit as sort of supplements to eat less. And then it was a Slim Fast diet, which would be like the shakes as meal replacers. And then I know that it was fifth grade that we did the Atkins diet. And I remember the house that I was in, that's how I place in the timeline. And I remember like Jell-O would be our treat, and like Jell-O and whipped cream. And then it was just like meat slices and cheese. But there was a lot of other things going on, so I just have sort of glimpses of this like dieting together. And also my mom she was going through nursing school, and then my brother really distracted the family, so it's like she was influencing me, but I also only have like little memories. And I think also that what shaped my food relationship was while she was in nursing school, and then later we never really ate breakfast together. And